Hi guys, this is your girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. Today we are going to be looking at Psalms chapter 20. And before I read the chapter word for word, I would like to just, help us visualize this chapter better. So let me tell you what's happening. In this chapter, David is praying as an intercessor to God to send a deliverer as the Jews were going to war with the Ammonites and the Syrians. So the best way to read this chapter is to visualize David as a king about to send his well-trained warriors and knights to battle. So they're all dressed in their shining armor, which is typically, a helmet to protect their heads, a breastplate to cover their chest areas, a shield and a sword, and other protective gears for their arms, for their knees, for their legs. And so they're standing there in line. They have just made lines and lines in thousands. And David is praying and interceding for them. And now, with that image in mind, with that image in mind, let us read Psalm chapter 20. And I'm going to be reading it from the easy to read version. I'm going to be reading it word for word, and then I'm going to share the lessons that I have picked up from this chapter, that the Lord have spoken to me specifically from this chapter. I do pray that you have spent some time reading the chapter for yourself, and that you have lessons that the Holy Spirit has spoken to you about. You have things that the Holy Spirit has brought to your spirit as lessons to take up from this chapter. Again, remember, David as a king, probably he's on a horse, and then there are just many warriors and knights in their shining armor in their thousands, and he's just standing there interceding and praying for them. All right, let's read. It says, "May the Lord answer you in times of trouble. May the God of Jacob protect you. May he send you help from his holy place. May he support you from Zion. May he remember all the gifts you have offered. May he accept all your sacrifices. May he give you what you really want. May he make all your plans successful. We will celebrate when he helps you. We will praise the name of God. May the Lord give you everything you ask for. Now I know that the Lord helps his chosen king. From his holy heaven he answered. With his great power he has saved me. He has saved him. Some give the credit for victory to their chariots and soldiers, but we honor the Lord our God. They fall in battle, totally defeated, but we survive and stand strong. Lord, save the king. Answer us when we call to you for help." Right? So while this is a great prayer to make for your team as they head to battle, it is also, it's a really great prayer. He's praying for the warriors and they're going to battle, and it's just blessing them and interceding for them. But one of the things that it does is that it shows where David had placed his trust. It wasn't in the physical strength of his warriors. David's warriors were brutal. Hey, you guys. David was brutal. Then there's his warriors that were really brutal. There was a guy called Josheb who killed 800 men at once. There was a man called Shammah who defended a field of barley against the Philistines by himself. And then there's David, who's first, tujaribu vita, killed Goliath. Well, he was just like, wacha tujaribu, let's see. And then he kills Goliath, someone who the whole of Jews couldn't kill. Like, they had tried killing him and they couldn't kill him. They were afraid to kill him. David also at one point had captured from his enemies 1,000 chariots, 7,000 horse soldiers, and 20,000 foot soldiers from a guy called Hadadezer. And so he was well prepared for battle. David had the manpower, he had horsepower, he had chariots, he had everything he needed to do this battle. But David did not put his trust in the number of his chariots, in the number of his horse soldiers, in the number of his foot soldiers. He that he had at his command, and he had many at his command, but David put his trust in God. I know that you're good at what you do. You have skills that cannot be compared to any other. You have degrees upon degrees. You come from a rich family. You have money in your bank account. You have connections. You can even walk into an exam room and pass any exam because you're a genius. But it is my prayer that you have placed your trust in God, the unchanging God, the unmovable God, the one that cannot be affected by anything that happens on earth, in the heavens, on earth, or even under the earth. That's where your trust should be placed. Because everything else, your good grades, your degrees, your connections, your bank account, how great you are at your skill, everything else is sinking sand. And David knew that way well. He knew that very well. And he knew, I might have all these chariots. I might have all these foot soldiers. But I will put my trust in the Lord. Because everything else is sinking sand. And that is my prayer, that your trust will be placed on God. You trust in God, the one who is unchanging, unmovable, the one who cannot be affected by anything that happens in the heavens, on the earth, under the earth, the one who is, unmovable. That is where your trust should be, because everywhere else is sinking sand. Thank you very much for listening, and see you next week.